Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the North East Non-League Show, episode 8. And join me tonight, Chris. Chris, thank you very much for joining us.
Rainey, good morning.
Good morning, yeah. I was just saying, obviously, when we messaged earlier on, I've totally forgot about the time frame. And what's the time over there at the moment, Chris?
5:45 a.m.
So, no, it's honestly, thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it as well. And just got to say a massive thank you to our sponsors, as always, Baywatch TV, Sunderland West End, and Jade Bell. Without your support, we couldn't be doing things like this. So thank you so much. And also proud to support If You Care Share Foundation as well. But again, everyone, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I know we've got a busy week this week. A lot of chairmans on this week. Very, very excited times on the channel. But again, thank you everyone for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe. It does really mean a lot to ourselves. Obviously, just hitting 500 subscribers a day. So we really do appreciate that as well. So yeah, Chris, just getting obviously back to Durham City. And I think, like you say, doing the shows like this, it's a great way to kind of put out what the club's trying to do, yourself, and kind of the plans to go forward as well. And we all know social media, it can be a good thing, it can be a bad thing at times. But I think little shows like this, it kind of gives you a good platform to kind of put it out there without just being on the social media itself, isn't it?
Oh, look, absolutely, Rainey. I mean, I think I mentioned to Stephen earlier, that, we had a couple of sort of pretty unprofessional setups, having the shot at us. One a couple of weeks ago was farcical. But when he actually invited us on, he disappeared. So, I think generally over time, people learn the truth and the facts and what's actually happening at the club. That's important. So I appreciate the time that you've afforded me today.
Mm-hmm. I've just got to start with myself and my love kind of for the club as well, because anyone that knows me, I absolutely love me football, and I can find football anywhere. It doesn't matter where I am. And I was about 12, 13-year-old, just gone to like secondary school. And obviously you go and meet your friends after school, and we're playing at Belmont Community Centre, which was literally about a 10-minute walk from the Ferrens Park where Durham City used to play. And I always remember I was playing a game of football, I hear a whistle go. And that's my first thing on a Sunday morning. If I hear a whistle, I've got to go and find that football match. And I say to my friends, right, I've got to go now, I've got something to do. And I found my way, and I was listening to this whistle every time. And I thought, there's a football pitch over there. And I always remember going down at that point. I must have been, like you say, 12, 13, but it was about 2001 time. But it was the real men Northern League football where people were sliding in, they were getting kicked to bits. There was red cards, yellow cards, the crowd was shouting. I thought, I absolutely love this. And it kind of grew from then, going over with my granddad, watching them play. And then obviously getting on the promotion seasons as well, where myself and my friend went home and a lot of away games where we I think they got beat 3 times in about 3 seasons, which was absolutely fantastic. And I think that's where my love came for the club. And obviously at the time when we were climbing them leagues, if we had that same team now and kind of how it was back then, God knows where the club would have been now. And it's just a shame, obviously, at that point where the FA stepped in and said, right, 3G pitch is no longer allowed in this division. And what happened, because ever since then, as you know, it has just kind of slipped away at some points. But I mean, going back to kind of before you've heard about Durham City, what was your first stories of Durham City? How did you kind of find out about the club?
We, late last year, we were approached by an associate of Olivia Bernard to try and step in and help out, because as you rightly say, the club had gone through this incredible downward slide, and there's been a number of reasons for that. So first look, we sort of said, not touching that, don't want anything to do with that, no way. And then we had a meeting with the chairman at the time, Paul Trotter, and you can see, similar to your own sentiments, that Paul used to bleed, well, still does, blue and yellow, and the club was in his heart. So he told us all about the club, and we saw it from a different perspective. And I said to my partner in America, I said, look, let's give this a go. Look, it's been good. I mean, we've obviously achieved a fair bit. We would have liked to achieve more to this point, especially on the park. But we just got involved and we sort of kicked off in December and set about plugging the holes, so to speak.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, obviously now with the over control, who is the main person that makes them decisions at the club now? Who has the kind of final say on kind of the management, the players? Who is that? Is it that yourself, or does Bernard still have a kind of say in that at all?
No, not really. I mean, Olivia is fairly hands off in that regard. I mean, he's given us
Hmm.
the autonomy to go ahead and do what we do. So we've got a fairly expansive team now from the point of view that we've brought in probably a lot more volunteers than we've had for some time. So
Hmm.
myself and my partner Jeff Johnson, we work with the volunteers to administer the club at all levels, and you know. We've just recently acquired Justin Smart, who is the son of John Smart, and he brings
Hmm.
football now to the table as well, and also takes a little bit of pressure off myself and my company because we know we've got somebody at the reins who A knows what to do, but also B he understands our business plan for the club, and he agrees with it and implements it. So it's been pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned there about volunteers, and I know when I first started going to the club and seeing people, I mean, God rest his soul, Stevie. I mean, what a Durham City legend he was, Mr. Hickman. Obviously, it doesn't matter where the ball used to go over. He used to go over 6 foot fence. He was the first person there to get the ball, and what a character he was. And I think football club kind of around the area now, the Northern League, Weeside League, if it wasn't for volunteers who kind of come in every single game to help out, there wouldn't be football club, was there?
Look, 100%. Obviously, rest in peace, Steve, who we recently lost. And certainly, we were told a lot of stories about his involvement and his love for the club. We've put together business models for clubs around the world, but it doesn't really matter whether it's at the top of the Premier League or the bottom of the Wearside League. Volunteers are a lifeblood of football, we recently picked up a really good team of volunteers that putting a lot in to get this club fixed and moving forward.
Yeah, no, definitely. Just want to say a huge thank you to everyone that's watching now. Kind of, I think it's about 23, 24 people watching, which is absolutely fantastic. A few comments coming in as well. John, any chance to put questions? Yeah, get any questions in as well. Alarm setting. Our thank you to our main sponsor, Beer Watch TV. Evening, gents. I've just been watching the highlights from your game yesterday as well. Another fantastic game. Love the content on your channel as well. Absolutely amazing. And just getting back to obviously this season, Chris. I mean, obviously we've all kind of seen the start now, the 12 games, and still without a win. I mean, looking kind of from your perspective now, what do you think the main plans are now for the rest of the season, and kind of then pushing forward over the next year, kind of closely?
Look, it's all about recruitment, mate.
Yeah.
I've openly admitted, and we've accepted the blame when it comes to taking our eyes off the ball with recruitment. Long before we got here, the club was, copping double-digit results. And so it's been going on for close to 12 months. I've said it publicly, and it's not a slur on anybody. Look, I mean, I think I've discovered at this level there are two types of footballers. There's a Saturday footballer and there's a Sunday footballer. And we had our squad refurbished, I guess is the right word, with young, hungry Sunday footballers last season. Sorry. And I think the problem was with some were hungrier than others. So some would show up for training and some wouldn't. When we came in, we really started focusing on the commercial side of the club, and that needed fixing immediately. While the football club went on the football team went on and did its own thing. Yeah. We fixed things commercially. We're financially viable now. We've got new sponsors coming in. We've got new ideas for fundraising. and other plans. But what we did do is we appointed a rookie manager, lovely bloke, lovely guy, and a pretty good coach too. Sadly, we gave him not many resources, and he struggled. Obviously, you've only got to look at the results. But like I said, we accepted the blame in relation to recruitment. This year, we recruited a lot more Sunday league mentalities. We had an assistant coach came in that offered us the world and delivered nothing. So, we had to, in the recent weeks, change our perspective on, the sort of players we want to register. We used to register them because we needed numbers. And that's not been the case in the last 3 or 4 weeks, except for Saturday, where we travelled to Windscale and we ended up with 10 players. One player told us he was coming and then told us he was sick and then posted on Facebook from the Stadium of Light how he was enjoying the game against Burnley. So, we've got to get those mentalities out of the club, and we have to recruit. So we've now looking at setting up a scouting system with 3 or 4 fairly smart football brains across the area, and let's see what players we brought in. 4 or 5 Irish lads, and they made a difference. But when you get a player sent off and you're down to 9 players, it doesn't matter how good they are. We struggled on Saturday. Hopefully that won't happen again.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a couple of nice comments coming there from Niall, even the guys as well. Even Niall, thank you very much for watching. And Stephen Force just mentioned Durham City battled well yesterday with 10 men, fell for them making the trip to us. In them circumstances. So like I say, a lot of people are still obviously kind of really taking interest in the club and seeing how things are going, aren't they? Even with the results the way they're going.
Look, we obviously we see all the rubbish on social media, and we know it's just a handful of cowards, and it really, the people, we've invited everybody. If you really care about the club and you really want to know something, ask. And we'll tell them, I mean, everybody sees 14-0 and they go, oh, gee, that's really bad. But, when they find out what happened, you only had 10 and then 1 got sent off, it's a different story, So it's a matter of finding out the truth. But there are people out there who don't care about the truth. They want to tell you we've got no money, and they want to tell you this, they want to tell you that, so it's funny because there are people out there who they're just rude and obnoxious, and we block them. But for every obnoxious supporter that we block, we will add 10 to 20 new viewers on Twitter and Facebook for everyone that we block. So it's a good thing. I mean, the reason that they're following Durham City is not necessarily a good thing, because the state of the club on the park is not great. But you know what? In some respects, it's good for business. Any publicity is good publicity, and people are, coming across and taking a look and taking notice at what's going on at Durham City, and it's not all bad. However, as far as supporters go, there's 2 things that we've really got to do. We've got to improve the squad quickly, and hopefully get back to New Ferrens Park, which has been part of our business plan all along.
Yeah, I mean, that was my next question. I mean, obviously now playing at Leyburn Grove, and obviously fans going there, and I think that's kind of one of the reasons myself, when back at the time when they had to go to and play at Concert, had to go and play at Wilton because of the distance. Obviously, I couldn't drive at the time. It was just that's too far to go and watch football. And I think a lot of the fans obviously were around the Belmont area. A few people come from Durham. And I think that's where the fans started to dribble away a bit, because they just couldn't make that trek every single week up to Concert, up to Wilton. So it was quite a distance for some fans like myself. And obviously now playing where they are at the moment, I've seen a few people that put things on Twitter and Facebook, but how many fans are kind of getting there at the moment at games?
Well, the average crowd is, as far as paying fans go, has been hovering between 20 and 30. Towards the end of last season, you know, we were getting over 50. And that is, at this level of football, that gate income is gold. It's invaluable,
Oh,
you know.
100%. Yeah.
You know, Leyburn Grove was literally a temporary thing because we were sick of paying, you know, ridiculous rents, and then finding the ground wasn't available, and we had to sort of, you know, dress the pitch and so on. It was a matter where we basically had to sort of swallow the bitter pill and move to a probably less fashionable facility. When we got there, though, we were quite impressed with what was there. The pitch is too far away from the gates. We all know that. But there's a clubhouse where we're looking to, you know, see if we can move in there and make some money. But with our eyes on New Ferrens Park, Leyburn Grove did present us with a little bit of a vision for the future as far as working with Sunderland Council to try and make it a football facility. We've got other teams that are coming into the club. We've got plans for more other teams to come into the club. So obviously we can't operate the club just off one artificial pitch at New Ferrens Park. So we want to stay at Leyburn Grove and work with Sunderland Council to turn it into a club facility.
Yeah, it's quite important, as you say, at that level is, like you say, you have your pitch, but most important, you have that clubhouse, because people are coming back for a drink after the game, there's food on. That is one of the main things to bring funds into the club, isn't it? It's very important. I know there's a few teams close to myself where they're playing these football hubs and all the money's kind of going to the hub counters. There's nothing coming into the actual club itself for points, and it's so important to get that money into the club directly, isn't it?
Well, look, we only have to run one football card and to cover the costs of match day, which is 95% referees' fees. So, you know, it's important that we've got that little outlet there. Obviously, if we're at New Ferrens Park, there's hospitality facilities there as well. But we just thought with Leyburn Grove, you know, we saw, you know, maybe an academy and maybe a women's team and a couple of social teams, maybe a junior club. From the point of view of our future vision, we accidentally walked into a facility that might, you know, meet our needs in the future. So, yeah, you know, but we're going to work with Sunderland Council to see exactly what we can do there.
Yeah, they say that's it. You've got to try to make relationships with everyone to try and get that the family feel back at the club, don't you, at times?
100%, Rainey. You know, we again, part of one of the first things we identified up, you know, the fans saying, get back to New Ferrens Park, revert back to our traditional colours, but also build relationships. I mean, Durham City, nobody wanted to sponsor us, nobody wanted to play for us, nobody wanted to watch us, and that was a pretty awful situation, and certainly was a shock to the system for me when we first walked in the door. But now that's changed, obviously. But again, we've just got to lift the quality of our squad. We need to recruit another half a dozen players of a better average standard of what we've been recruiting. And that's not a slur on the guys who played on Saturday, for example. They all gave for the shirt on Saturday, and you can't ask any more. But you know, football's football, and we've got to be honest. If we're batting at a level that is bottom of the Wearside League, well, we need to be batting a little bit higher. So, you know, we'll keep recruiting, and I know we've got a couple of new guys coming in this week, so fingers crossed.
Yeah, hopefully so as well. A couple of comments coming in there just before we get on to the final part. Kyle, all good players play Saturday and Sunday. There's some good players out there. I mean, I know I've run Sunday League sides for about the last 10 years, and especially in the Pete Lee League and the Premier Division, some of the players that's playing in there is absolutely fantastic. Winning obviously the Sunday Cups, and a lot of them playing on a Saturday as well. Some fantastic players. Conor on social media, the club been saying the score's improved in the last couple of months, but is that true? Results like yesterday, 14-0 yesterday, as you mentioned, obviously early with the players yesterday. John, didn't the league advertise for players on the Sunday League forums? Like you say, it's kind of when you put out there is where to kind of, when you're recruiting players, you expect kind of Saturday League to kind of manage to go out and get players in rather than advertising, isn't it, at this level, do you think?
Yeah, look, we obviously went out on Twitter because that's got a fairly good following.
It's a massive following, isn't it? Huge following, yeah.
The club Facebook page, we put stuff on the website. We went and done some direct recruiting. We needed probably to get out and see more games, and you can't do that on your own. And we probably, if we, like I said, we needed a scouting network, and we've got a couple now who are looking around for us. We put it all on the hands of a rookie coach, and as I said, he's done all right considering the resources we didn't give him. That's now changed. There's movement in that area where we're looking to have more and more eyes out there on a weekend, scouting for players.
Yeah, it's like you say, it's got to be a massive thing moving forward. I mean, just getting back to you say the social media as well, and like you say, for football clubs, it's absolutely huge. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm not on all of them, so I don't know them all off the top of my head, but obviously the main ones like Twitter and Facebook, which is absolutely huge. You can put a post out there, and within 10 minutes, it's gone worldwide, hasn't it? And I think it's quite important. And I think we've kind of spoken as well before the show. Kind of, do you agree? Obviously, with social media times, that can be run a lot bit better on Twitter as well.
Look, our social media is fine. I mean, we get the news out there, and there's been some great news out of the club this year. We've achieved some pretty good stuff, some good sponsorships, some good community initiatives, and so on. But sadly, and also a lot of that has happened, and the sponsorships has happened because Durham City's got strong social media. I mean, our metrics are good, and we're one of the better supported clubs in the Northeast. But, I often say Twitter is the toilet of the internet. And sadly, we've had to deal with a handful of idiots. Look, I think people, even we've done a bit of media this weekend and about some of the other news coming out of the club. Now, I think generally that your average football supporter, and we've got plenty of messages of support. Your average football supporter know who the idiots are that are driving agendas, whether they be ex-employees or ex-players or employ. They're just bitter, and eventually, people don't take any notice of them anymore.
Yeah, I mean, looking at obviously the club and everything, can you understand obviously fans' frustrations of obviously how the club's been over the last decade now? Can you kind of feel for the fans that's kind of been going through that point?
Absolutely, Randy. I mean, and that's why we've said, we get it. We step into the chair, not so much me, but the business and the new management team. We step into the captain's chair and we look and we learn and we talk to fans. Oh, I was there 7 years ago. This happened. I was there 20 years ago. We were great.
Yeah.
We get all that. I mean, that's from a true marketing-based approach. Genuine customer research is very important. The genuine stuff, not the haters and the idiots. But and we've said to people, by all means. I had a chat with a guy last week for almost a couple of days, and he had ideas, and some of them were good ideas, and we took them on board. I mean, we had a number of earlier in the year. We had a number of people say, "Let's get back to our traditional colours." So, we thought, okay, we hear the fans, we'll do that. So we switched back to blue and yellow. the red and black strip became our away strip. So, and we also identified that the previous board had done a good job in understanding that our fans wanted us to be representative of Durham, and of course eventually play there. And that's why with our new strip, you've got the mining wheel and the cathedral. It's like a little skyline of Durham on our shirt, which has been very popular. And I can actually tell you, it's going on sale this week. So people can buy the club shirt. We'll have the club home shirt, the club away shirt, and a specially made 1925 club retro shirt, which is in the club colours from 1925 when George Campsall played. Now, the plan with that strip is it'll be on sale, but in the last game of the season, which we call George Campsall Day, the team will actually wear the retro strip.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's a really good idea, that one.
Yeah, so it's all come from fan feedback. The fan feedback about what's going on the park. Nobody wants to be getting beat by double digits. It's not good for the players. It's not good for the fans. It's not good for me on a Sunday morning when I wake up to have breakfast and have a look and, not again. There have been 2 or 3 fixtures where the improvement has shown, and we've got these 4 new Irish guys came in, and we're looking a lot stronger. But like I said, when there's only 9 of you on the pitch, there's not much you can do. So again, that's what we're focused on now. We listen to the genuine feedback from genuine fans, and we're out there scouting. Have faith, everybody. We're trying.
Yeah. Just before I get the last 5 minutes of the show there now as well, just a couple of more comments coming in on the club as well. Marty just mentioned every club needs pathways, recruiting players who have no alleged to the club, which is very difficult. Talking about getting back near Ferns Park, yet long-term development seems to be at Leyburn. I know you mentioned there, like you say, you're looking at the moment, obviously short-term out there. When do you think talks will kind of open, trying to get to Ferns Park? I know Borough Rangers are playing there at the moment, which is quite strange, like you say, all the way from Middlesbrough. Which must be quite a trek for them every home game. I mean, is there any talks going on possibly at the moment with getting back to Ferns Park?
The talks have begun. The talks began last season. Obviously, we couldn't just walk in because there was 2 tenants already there. I was told recently that Borough Rangers had left. I don't know where that's up to, but our plan was for next season. But look, we're in constant communication with New Ferns Park, and we've got some plans for New Ferns Park which don't just pertain to the regular football season. We've got an idea, or we've got a number of ideas, the things that we could do at New Ferns Park. But first thing we've got to do is become official tenants.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the first jobs if you do get in there, it's definitely the pitch, because my son plays on a Saturday morning, and the amount of obviously people that's played on that pitch over the last 10 years, it's seen better days. I think it's got more black crumb on it than grass at the minute. Well, plastic turf at the minute. The ball does not bounce at all, so that'll be quite a job.
We've been told. No, we're aware of it, and look, it's not our pitch to fix.
Yeah.
At the same time, if we can go into a strong tenancy agreement, and we can help generate income for both parties, hopefully that might be, look, I think I've heard, rumours that, the pitch needs an upgrade. Everybody knows it. The owners know it. I guess they have their business strategies as to when and how they're going to go about it.
Yeah, no, like you say, hopefully they do, because I know I'll come away every Saturday morning. I've got more of them black things in my trainers than anything else when we get in the car. The cars follow them.
Look, to be honest, I'm a huge fan of artificial pitches. We've got
same
here in Australia, and I see working with players, I see a lot of injuries. A lot of players don't like them. But on the other hand, I've also, witnessed the weather in the north of England and the amount of cancellations that we had at the tail end of last season. I think it's about the quality of the pitch. I know a lot of people and players are fans of hybrid pitches where you get a bit of grass and a bit of plastic.
Yeah.
But again, it's not our decision to make. But look, I think we certainly might down the track intend to have some input on we'd like to be a more active, have a more active involvement at New Ferrens Park, when we eventually get back there.
Yeah, definitely. Luke's just asking there as well, at this level, how do you go about getting players with the Lions to a club, would you say?
Yeah, look, I mean, we've had players come to us, and we've had a few good ones, and we've had a lot that weren't so good. They've got an alliance to their Sunday team. They've been with the club for 5 years. They've got friends at the club. They sign up for Durham City on a Saturday, and because Sunday is their most important football day, they're happy to skip our game and go to a Premier League fixture or go to their girlfriend's 21st. Some guys work. We lost some players to work on the weekend, and we'll accept that. We're an amateur club. I'm no problem with a guy who has to work. I do have a problem with a guy who says he is sick and shows up at the Stadium of Light. I do have a problem with a bloke that's working or says he's working, but people see him down the pub. And that's when I talk about Saturday mentalities and Sunday mentalities. I guess what we'd like to do, and we've set up some good communication with some Sunday League teams, and we're also talking to some junior clubs who are talking to us about the model that we've got for a future understructure to underpin the club and take it forward. Again, it's one of those things where I just can't snap my fingers and make it happen overnight. I wish I could. But look, we've got plans for juniors. One of the big things right now, we were talking to an academy coach the other day, and we'd like your son to come and play for our academy. Oh, what club are you with? Durham City. And they run for the hills, So we've got to eliminate that as well. And part of the process, I suppose we'll extend the process from the point of view where Durham City was on the nose. We have to keep showing people the future of Durham City and where we're looking to take it. That's the selling point, not the 14-0 defeat that we had on Saturday. That's not what we're selling. And people have been good. Like I said, the genuine fans that private message. One guy, a fella called Darren. Had long, extensive talks with him. He's a businessman. He loves Durham City. And you listen to these people because they are genuine, and there's nothing better for a chairman or a marketing department to have customers in your ear, telling you what used to happen, telling you what they'd like to see happen. That's how we shape our plans for the future.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of comments coming out. We're going to go over at the end just before we finish off as well. A few people, I thought I heard rumours about Borough Rangers a few weeks ago, kind of having to move back to Seaside. I don't know if it was complete or not because of the state of the pitch, which, like I say, I've seen it first time myself on a Saturday of how bad it's been there. So no, thank you for the comments. I heard rumours that they did go back, but I didn't know if it was kind of confirmed on there as well. And Dan is asking there, nothing off east, but do you attend any some matches? Are you planning to come up to see any of the Durham City matches as well, getting across?
We've had a number of representatives of our company at Zenith representatives at Durham City games already. I get back to the UK every couple of years. Obviously haven't been through COVID, but certainly early 2023 is my next planned visit to the UK. And obviously, because of this mammoth job that we've taken on.
Yeah.
We'll obviously be visiting Durham as well. I've got friends and family in Newcastle.
Right. Yeah.
The bulk of my family are in London, but obviously the trip north is going to be very important, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lovely place, Durham City. I mean, I always go back to my friend who we always used to go to Durham City matches with, and you kind of look now at all these different leagues, Saturday leagues, Sunday leagues, and since kind of Durham City left Ferrens Park, the amount of Durham City or Durham this or Durham that team that's actually now being set up in the area, it's absolutely crazy how many Durham teams are set up now. And I was just always thinking if one of those, if they got together as a team and just did something for the city, it would be amazing having a pitch in the city centre. Which would be absolutely fantastic as well. It's just such a shame of all these sides that are now playing. And I don't think you'll ever see Durham City side where they kind of push on to climb the leagues where they almost did in the past. Because the number of Durham teams that's set up now, do you think?
Look, you're right, and I'm of the understanding that some of those Durham teams are disgruntled ex-Durham City people that have left and didn't like the way things were and left and formed their own club. That happens in football, it's sad. Well, it's sad in the sense of Durham City because you're looking at a once very highly regarded club. But look, we're still a very proud club. We admire, I personally admire what Durham Corinthians have done. They're a strong club. They've got good ethics. They've got good plans for the future. Some of the other Durham clubs are a bit wishy-washy, but look, that's okay. I mean, everybody gets together. Everybody has their own plan. Everybody has their own, vision of the future and so on. We've certainly got ours now. 9 months ago, it was all about survival. Well, we've got past that. We've got past that. Now it needs to be about growth. And, look, and of course, getting it right on the pitch.
That's the most important thing, isn't it? Like you say, the results, things turn around, hopefully, like you say, pushing forward as well. So I know, like you say, I always talk to friends and kind of when we go back to that time when we were so successful, obviously we've seen how big we went up the league. And obviously when the sponsor pulled out, a lot of players then went to Spennymoor. And you look where Spennymoor are now in the Conference North, and you just think, God, if them players stuck together at that time, we could have been that same level or higher. I mean, I know we've had a few former players on over the last kind of 6 or 7 weeks. Some legends of the club, like the likes of Rasha, who's one of my favourite players at Durham City. Doesn't matter where the free kick was, it could put the ball in the back of the net from anywhere. And I know he also had a bid in for the club with a consortium many months ago, he said as well, which was knocked back. And he said he was absolutely disappointed because he just wanted to try and take over the club and kind of take it to that level, or at least get them stabilised where they were. And like you say, it's such a shame because you look at, like you say, the likes of Spennymoor now, where these former player legends, they're getting obviously boards around the ground, going back from talkings. And because of kind of what's happened with Durham City over the last 6 or 7 years, it's just seemed to have all gone to one side, hasn't it?
Look, I think a lot of people want to, burn Olivia Bernard in the town square. What they don't realise is that Olivia bought the club and has reinvested in the club continually for the time that he's owned it. If somebody's told you that they put in a bid for the club in the last couple of months, I certainly didn't see it. They might have gone direct to Olivia, I don't know. But the fact is that Olivia cares about the club. People might think that he doesn't, but he does, because I know I talk to him every week, or every second week. But at the same time, he's passed it over for somebody else to run it. So he doesn't interfere too much either. I mean, as a courtesy, if there's anything major that needs to change, I'll let him know.
Right.
But, he's happy where we are at the moment, except he's not happy with what's happening on the park. But then again, either am I. Either is the coach, either is the players. So that's our main focus right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, thank you so much, everyone that's still watching. Obviously, the amount of comments that came in, I wish I had enough time to go through them all. Honestly, there's so many coming in. I know we're only planned for half an hour, but just to kind of finish off, I put a lot of the comments that came in, similar questions together, just to end off there. Like you say, we're going back to the playing squad and obviously moving forward as well. Kind of, you've mentioned that you brought in kind of scouts now. What is the the kind of plan with them? Are they going to go and look at a certain level of players, or is it like certain leagues that they're going to be looking at?
We'll have discussions with them, and certainly, what I'm told, you obviously get feedback every day, and so and so was playing in the Northern League and he hasn't played for the last 2 years because he was having a family. You should give him a call. So we're giving him a call. There's 2 young fellas. We actually had a club that wanted to bring their entire under-18s over,
right?
But they also wanted to run the club at the same time, which was not going to happen because we're very steadfast with the business plan that we've got in place. I think it was somebody saw a club on death's door. We're not on death's door, far from it, but the results aren't good, and that's an area that we have to fix. So there's people out there. I'm actually going to approach a former Australian national team coach who lives in Durham, and not sure what he's up to these days, but certainly we'll be knocking on his door and see if he can give us a hand as well.
Yeah, well, that's good. And just finally, a couple of questions. Well, obviously, I know with our shows that we do now, the North East Non-League show, we've kind of built a massive. The friendships that we've actually built up now is absolutely fantastic. With some of the clubs kind of from National League all the way down to Northern League now as well. It's really great as well. And a lot of the people are asking, obviously, because they care for that club as well. And a lot of people's been asked on Twitter, and I think it's kind of a great time now to kind of put it out there, or is it not? Is it true or what? But obviously, yes, we did play at Wilton last season. People asking about this debt. Has something been paid? What's gone wrong? Can you tell us anything about that, Chris?
Yeah, look, happy. I mean, look, every businesses have accounts, and you might pay the phone account, you might pay the rent, you might pay other utilities and so on. Very hard to pay an account when you don't get an invoice, and the standard of paperwork from Wellington hasn't been great. We actually helped them fix that by doing some paperwork for them ourselves. So the account now has been The account now has been tidied up. The invoices have been passed across, and they'll be paid. Everybody gets paid. In fact, outside of the Wellington bill, which we're only accepting half of the blame of the state of the account, Durham City doesn't owe any money anywhere.
Yeah. So like you say, you can understand, obviously, with people like you say yourself, important, obviously, funds are at the club. And like you say, if clubs are waiting for them payments, it could be huge with kind of the budgets. If they're playing players, they might be, they might not. But obviously, getting the grass up to the facilities that they want, the clubhouse, a lick of paint in the clubhouse, just little things like that. It is huge to a club, isn't it?
Oh, look, absolutely. I mean, obviously, funding is essential for any business. Whether you're a 100 million turnover or a £5,000 turnover. But look, we as I said, we've generated some good sponsorship this year. We've got a couple more coming in. We've got some promotions happening. So on the financial front, we're good. If somebody said to me, Chris, here's £15,000, start paying players, I would possibly argue that money can be better spent elsewhere. My personal feeling, remembering that I'm 10,000 miles away, but players really shouldn't be being paid at this level. That being said, there's some ridiculous money being thrown around the Wearside League. So, but what are you going to do? We certainly had a player wage budget envisaged for this year.
Right.
But when we saw the players that were coming in, and we looked at the limited income we had because we're at Leyburn Grove, it's not a popular venue to watch football. The player wage budget was one of the first things that was shelved. Does that affect our team on the park? I don't think so. there's good players out there that don't want money, and we've got some good players already in our squad that don't want money. People talk to me about fuel and fuel allowances, and I just point them in the direction of our club captain, Nick Ballard, who comes from Sydney. And, Nick would drive up all over Sydney to play football, but nobody got petrol money. So, look, it's a different place. It's a different environment. It's a different culture. We get all that. But we can't give you what we don't have. It's that simple.
Yeah. And Chris, just before I let you go as well, obviously, just looking at the plans now for the future, you sit here now, and what would you say, kind of obviously the way the squad's playing at the moment, but what would you say is your plan within the next 5 years of the football club?
Oh, gee, hard question. It's like, you walk into the ruins of a building and you say, what are you going to do with this place? And the first thing I'm going to do is clean it up. But look, I think, and Olivia and I have had some forward planning conversations, and certainly the club being financially self-supportive, so he doesn't have to put his hand in his pocket from time to time. That's one thing, of course, and we're well on the way to getting to that point. But obviously, we would prefer to be in a higher position on the football pyramid. Lots of clubs would. But certainly, a fashionable, marketable, functioning squad, a fashionable, functioning, marketable club, and a larger club, with its own community under the umbrella. So a women's team, an academy, a junior club. We're talking to a couple of men's social teams at the moment about joining the club. And all of a sudden you've got 200 members instead of 20 members. And it changes things. It changes things dramatically. Pardon me. So we just have to, get more numbers saying, I'm a Durham City member. Get back to New Ferrens Park, of course, and without wanting to upset any of the other Durham teams, but getting back to being Durham's number one team. We've been around long enough, and that's where we want to get back to. Yeah.
And just before I let it go as well, Chris, just the last question, sorry, because I know there's a few passionate fans from the North East on as well. So they're just asking, obviously, about the Wilton. Is the debt being paid to them? Has it been paid? How long will that go? Just I know there's a few passionate fans on, especially from Wilton as well.
We know who they are, and some of them are those troublemaking idiots I've mentioned to you before. When it comes to the debt to Willington, it would be like me asking you, Rainey, can you please show me right now all your outstanding bills that are, on a fridge magnet on your fridge? The answer is it's nobody's business what our accounts are. People telling me we've got no money, and I'm saying, well, that's just not true. But we pay all of our accounts. Finally, after much, many requests, we've now got all of the accounts from Willington, and they'll be paid.
Brilliant. No, like you say, that would be it. Like you say, like we all love our North East football, so we just want to see the clubs, like you say, get any money that's owed, any club we wish anyone the best going forward as well.
Well, absolutely. The thing with Willington was unfortunate, but sometimes disagreements happen in business, and sometimes bills are disputed. We've never, ever disputed the bill, ever. So, there were other factors at play, and as to why it got behind, but that certainly wasn't our fault.
Mm-hmm. But no, Chris, I just want to say thank you for coming. I know it's quite early over there this morning, so I'm going to let you go and get your breakfast. I know I said half an hour, so I've kind of got on a little bit longer, but just want to say thank you for just kind of coming on to try and go over some questions that a lot of people want to ask, really.
Yeah, no, it's been a pleasure, Rainey. I appreciate you reaching out to us, and like I said to Stephen the other day, it's good to get the facts out there about Durham City. There's a lot of urban myth and rubbish and gossip, and we're very transparent. There are no secrets, and if anybody wants to contact me or anyone else at the club, providing it's genuine and respectful and not abusive, we're happy to have the discussion.
Yeah, but no, Chris, thank you very much, and I hope enjoy. Yeah, I don't know if you're Sunday or you're Monday there now, but yeah, I hope you enjoy the day there.
It's Monday morning.
Monday morning.
Thanks again
Excellent.
to you, and thanks to your listeners. I really appreciate it.
Excellent. Thanks, Chris.
Cheers, mate.
But again, everyone, thank you, everyone, so much for watching. Honestly, we've had so many comments coming. I just wish we had time to kind of go through them all. With that one there, very difficult, because I mean, my love for Durham City, it's always been massive, obviously, since I've been a young lad and going to watch, obviously, Durham City with my granddad and going down to watch Durham City for many years. So had to sit on the fence with a lot of the questions that we've asked there. Just want to try and get as much facts or out for everyone fans on there as well that's been asking the questions. So I really appreciate, obviously, with the comments coming in, trying to get them across in a point, which I could on the show as well. But this week we've got so much coming up. Obviously, we've had the Durham City show tonight. Tomorrow night, which I can't really wait for, is Brian Shotton is coming on, the Ashton chairman, to kind of come on to talk about his love for his football club and kind of what he's done over the last 3 or 4 seasons at the club at Ashton as well. Talk about the FA Cup run and his hopes and plans for the future of that football club, which is looking really promising at the moment in that league. Wednesday night, we've also got on the review show, which will be triple review show now, which I think I'm a bit lost for words because I've just been watching the Newcastle game before I came on. So we're going to go over the Man United, Everton, and the Tottenham game as well on Wednesday night, with a few Newcastle fans coming on as well. And then Sunday, it's non-stop. Sunday, we've got the Blythe captain, Nathan Buddle, coming on to talk about his career so far and the clubs that he's been playing at, the highs and lows, and of course, them funny changing room stories, which we all love to hear as well. So a very busy week for the show. If you're new and watching tonight, please do subscribe. I know we have hit 500 subscribers tonight, so I'm absolutely chuffed. I'm over the moon. I'm going to go have a couple of drinks now because it's been a very busy day advertising the shows, watching the match as well, and a lot of time with the family. But again, I really appreciate your support. A lot of people asking, there's the show recorded yet? So all the shows are recorded from StreamYard. And then once the shows are finished, then they go through to our YouTube channel, which will sit there for forever, really, as well. And just a couple of comments coming in from Mark. Well done, really restrain yourself better than I thought you could. Like you say, I think a lot of us love our Northeast football. We all have our clubs. I don't have a club particularly. I just love my Northeast scene. I go out and watch many Northern League games, Wearside games, National League North, the Division 1 East. I'm trying to get out as many games as I can over the World Cup as well, to try and really get the Northeast pushed out there, doing as many interviews with former players, current players, former managers, and just trying to get as many stories out there as we can, because we just want to put the football in the Northeast up there, because I think we've got the best non-league scene in the world, to be honest, and I absolutely love it. I'm so passionate about it. But again, everyone, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate your support tonight, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your night as well. Thanks for watching.